In a quiet village where hunger whispered louder than hope, one woman discovered a secret that would change everything. But some blessings come with shadows, and some helpers are not of this world. When the moon rises, the truth begins to work. This is a story of desperation, power, and consequences. Welcome to AfricanStories. In the village of Aiyetoro, there was no farm as large or as beautiful as Mama Toyo's. From the hill near the river, her land stretched like a green carpet woven by the gods themselves. The maize stood tall and proud, their tassels dancing with the wind. The cassava leaves were thick and healthy, and her yams, they grew so big that 2 men were needed to lift just one. Her yam barn alone was the size of 2 large houses joined together. People would stand at the edge of her land and shake their heads in disbelief. Mama Toyo, one woman asked one afternoon, "Do you even sleep at night?" Mama Toyo laughed softly, adjusting her wrapper. "Hard work, my sister. Hard work does not kill anybody." But the women noticed something strange. Her palms were smooth. Not a single scar. Not the hands of a woman who tilled stubborn soil or swung a cutlass under the burning sun. That evening, as the sky turned orange, young Sade watched her mother from the doorway. Mama Toyo did not rest like other farmers. Instead, when darkness covered the village and even the goats had gone silent, she picked up a lantern and walked toward the small hut behind their house, the hut no one was allowed to enter. Sade's heart beat faster. Because whatever made their farm grow like magic was hiding inside that hut. The hut smelled of damp earth and burnt herbs. Mama Toyo knelt carefully before a wooden stool where a white calabash rested, covered with red cloth. The lantern flame flickered, as if something unseen had just moved past it. Outside, Sade crept closer, her small feet silent against the sand. She pressed herself against the wall, her breath shallow. Inside the hut, Mama Toyo uncovered the calabash. The water inside shimmered though there was no wind. She dipped her fingers into it and washed her face slowly. "Mmotmo-pemi," she whispered. "Spirits that answer my call, open my eyes. Let me see what belongs to me." The air grew heavy. For a brief second, the lantern light turned blue. Sade covered her mouth to stop herself from gasping. Mama Toyo stood up slowly, her eyes now strangely focused, like someone looking at something far beyond ordinary sight. She picked up the calabash and stepped out of the hut. "Mother?" Sade called suddenly, pretending she had just arrived. Mama Toyo jumped. "What are you doing awake? I heard you talking." "I was praying," Mama Toyo replied quickly. "Go inside." But as Mama Toyo began walking toward the farm under the silver moonlight, Sade noticed something unsettling. Her mother was not walking alone. Shadows moved beside her. Tall shadows. Too tall to be human. And they made no sound. Sade followed at a distance, her heart pounding louder than the crickets in the night. The moon hung low, bathing the farm in pale light. When Mama Toyo stepped onto the soil, she stopped and raised her hand slightly, like a master inspecting her servants. And then Sade saw them clearly. Figures rising from the ground like mist. Tall. Thin. Their bodies looked like smoke shaped into humans. Some held cutlasses. Others carried hoes. Their feet did not fully touch the earth. Their faces were blank, except for their eyes. Hollow and glowing faintly. "Clear the eastern side," Mama Toyo commanded calmly. Without a word, the spirits moved. Took. 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 The sound of metal cutting soil filled the night. Cassava stems fell. Weeds parted. Yams were unearthed with unnatural speed. No breathing. No sweat. No rest. Sade trembled. Mother, who are they? Mama Toyo spun around sharply. You should not be here. But they are people. Sade whispered. They are workers, Mama Toyo said firmly. And they belong to this land. One of the spirits paused and slowly turned its head toward Sade. Its voice came like wind through dry leaves. She sees us. All the spirits stopped working. The night became silent. Mama Toyo's face lost its color. Back to work, she shouted desperately. But the spirits did not move. For the first time, they were not obeying. And somewhere in the darkness, something ancient was listening. The silence stretched so long that even the insects seemed afraid to breathe. Mama Toyo's chest rose and fell quickly, as she stared at the spirits standing motionless in her field. For years, they had never hesitated. Never questioned. Never stopped. Return to your duties, she ordered again, her voice firmer this time. Slowly, one by one, the ghosts resumed their work. The cutlasses moved. The soil turned. The rhythm returned. Took. 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 But something had changed. Sade felt it. That night, she lay awake on her mat, staring at the ceiling. The moonlight slipped through the window. Then she heard it. Soft voices. Not from outside. From everywhere. We are tired. We were promised rest. We were promised freedom. Sade sat up trembling. Who are you? She whispered into the darkness. A pale shape formed near the corner of the room. Not fully visible. Not fully gone. We were farmers, the voice said. We had families. We had names. Sade's eyes filled with tears. Why are you here? Your mother called us during the great drought, the spirit replied. She asked the forest shrine for wealth. She was told she would never farm alone again. And the price? Sade whispered. The spirit's hollow eyes flickered. The price was our freedom. Outside, the wind howled suddenly. In her own room, Mama Toyo sat upright, clutching the cracked calabash. Because she, too, had begun to hear the whispers. Days passed, and the whispers grew louder. Mama Toyo's once perfect farm now had an eerie feeling about it. Villagers avoided the paths that ran near her land. Rumors spread like wildfire. Have you seen the shadows at her farm? One woman asked another at the market. They say she doesn't sleep. She talks to empty air. One night, as Mama Toyo inspected her crops under the moon, a strange figure appeared at the edge of her field. An old man, tall and stooped slightly, with eyes as white as river foam, leaned on a wooden staff. He did not speak, yet the air around him seemed to vibrate. You should not be here, Mama Toyo said, trying to steady her voice. The old man raised his hand. Release my children, he said, his voice echoing across the field, low and commanding. The wind stopped. The trees held their breath. The ghosts froze in place, turning their hollow eyes toward him. Mama Toyo felt her knees weaken. I did not bind them willingly, she stammered. Years ago, during the great drought, you came to the forbidden forest shrine, the old man said. You begged for help, and you were given power over the spirits of farmers. You promised them freedom after each harvest. Did you keep your word? Mama Toyo swallowed hard. Her eyes darted to the ghosts, who now whispered among themselves, voices led like the rustle of dead leaves. We were promised rest, they repeated softly. The old man's staff struck the earth. The ground trembled. You will answer for your promises. The time has come. Mama Toyo's hands shook. For the first time, she felt fear stronger than ambition. Mama Toyo sank to her knees in the middle of her farm. Her eyes darted between the old man and the ghosts, their pale forms shifting in the moonlight like smoke trapped in the night. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Please. I only wanted to survive. I didn't know the cost would be so great." The spirits floated closer, cutting the air with the faint sound of their invisible movements. One of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward, its hollow eyes locked on Mama Toyo. "Survival has a price," it said softly. "For every harvest, you promised us freedom, yet you kept us bound. We worked while you slept, we toiled while you feasted. Now, the debt must be paid." Sade, hiding behind a cassava bush, trembled. She had never seen her mother so afraid. "Mother, what's happening?" she whispered. But Mama Toyo did not answer. She could barely speak. The old man's voice cut through the tension. "The spirits will not harm you, if you obey. But if you continue to deny them, your wealth, your farm, and your hands will all betray you. They were bound to you by trust, and trust broken demands a reckoning." Mama Toyo's heart pounded. She remembered the ritual at the forest shrine, the hot calabash water, the prayers, the promises whispered into the wind. She had thought she was clever, that she could control the invisible labor, that no one would ever see. But the ghosts had memories, and memories never forgive. With a shaky hand, she reached into the cracked calabash and muttered a prayer. The air shifted. The tallest ghost hovered closer, its form flickering. "Speak the words of release," it commanded. "Your hands will toil as ours have, until the debt is fulfilled." Mama Toyo's throat tightened. She realized then that freedom was not given. It was earned, even if it meant surrendering everything she had built. Sade crept closer, her small feet barely making a sound in the soft earth. Her eyes were wide as she watched her mother tremble before the towering ghost. The old man with white eyes had stepped back, silent now, allowing the spirits to decide the fate of the woman who had controlled them for so long. "Mother, you must listen," Sade whispered. But Mama Toyo's lips were sealed with fear. The wind carried the ghost's whispers. release us," they said, their voices overlapping in a haunting chorus. Each word cut deeper than a machete into Mama Toyo's pride. One of the ghosts, taller and more solid than the rest, hovered directly above her. "Only the blood of the master can free us," it said softly. "Speak, or the curse will claim all you hold dear." Mama Toyo's hands shook violently. She looked at Sade, fear and desperation battling within her. You don't understand, child," she said hoarsely. "This farm, it is our legacy. Without it, we will have nothing." Sade shook her head. "Mother, they are alive in a way we cannot see. They suffered because of greed. If you don't let them go, they, and we, will never be free." The moonlight reflected off the tallest ghost's hollow eyes. Sade stepped closer, her voice trembling but firm. "I will help them if you cannot. I will make sure they are free. But you must release them first." Mama Toyo swallowed hard, her pride fighting against the fear and guilt clawing at her heart. The ghosts swirled around her in silent anticipation. She finally whispered the words that would change everything. Mama Toyo's voice quivered as she spoke the words of release. "I set you free. I release you from my farm, from my will, from my hands." The air trembled as if the entire village were holding its breath. The calabash in her hands shook violently. Water splashed across the dry soil. A sharp crack echoed through the night, the calabash had broken in two. Shards scattered on the earth, and the water seeped into the soil, glimmering like liquid silver. The ghosts froze for a moment, then slowly began to rise higher into the air. Their forms shimmered, brighter than ever before. The tallest spirit hovered directly above Mama Toyo and whispered, "Freedom is sweeter than harvest." Then, one by one, the others ascended toward the night sky, disappearing into the stars like faint, flickering lights. Sade ran to her mother, tears streaming down her face. "Mother, it's over. They are free." Mama Toyo fell to her knees, exhausted and trembling. Her hands, once soft and unscarred, now bore the marks of invisible labor. She touched the soil beneath her, feeling its weight, its roughness, and its truth. For the first time, she understood the cost of greed, the value of trust, and the power of mercy. Outside the farm, the wind whispered through the trees as if the spirits were bidding farewell. Somewhere in the distance, the old man with the white eyes vanished, leaving only a soft echo in the air, a reminder that power obtained without honor carries a price. Mama Toyo looked at Sade and whispered, "We have been given a second chance, never forget it." Sade nodded, hugging her mother tightly, while the once great farm lay quiet and ordinary under the silver moonlight. By dawn, the village of Aiyetoro was stirring with curiosity. Rumors of the night's events had already spread. Villagers whispered among themselves, as they gathered near the edge of Mama Toyo's farm. "Did you see her running with that little girl last night?" one woman asked. "They say she was crying, talking to the wind." Mama Toyo emerged slowly from her hut, her hands rough, her face pale but calm. For the first time, she greeted the villagers without fear. "Good morning," she said softly, her voice steady. "The farm, it is ours to tend honestly now." Many of the villagers stared in disbelief. They had envied her wealth, her crops, and the smoothness of her hands. But now, seeing her working the land with bare hands, digging and planting, they realized something had changed. The invisible force that had sustained her farm was gone. What remained was her strength, her will, and the lessons she had learned. Sade walked beside her mother, holding her hand. "Will they come back?" she asked quietly. Mama Toyo shook her head. "No. They are free. And so must we be, free from pride, from fear, and from greed." The villagers watched as she tilled the soil herself, the sweat on her brow glistening in the rising sun. Word spread quickly, the farm was no longer magical, but it was real, alive with human effort and respect for life. And slowly, murmurs of admiration turned to understanding. Even the elders of the village nodded silently. They knew that Mama Toyo had faced a power greater than anyone in Aiyetoro could imagine, and she had survived, changed, and humbled. Weeks passed, and the farm that once seemed impossible to maintain began to thrive again, but differently this time. Mama Toyo no longer relied on the invisible, tireless labor of the ghost slaves. Instead, she rose with the sun, worked the soil with her own hands, and taught Sade the rhythm of planting, watering, and harvesting. Every movement was slow, deliberate, and full of reverence for the earth that fed them. The villagers came to visit, bringing small baskets of seeds or helping with the labor in exchange for knowledge. Mama Toyo shared her secrets willingly now, not magic or shortcuts, but skill, patience, and respect for the land. "The earth rewards those who respect it," she would say. "And it punishes those who exploit life for greed." One afternoon, while Mama Toyo rested under the shade of a palm tree, Sade approached her mother. "Mother, do you think they will ever forgive you?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mama Toyo looked out over the fields, remembering the hollow eyes of the spirits, the crack of the calabash, and the echo of their whispers. "Forgiveness is not given," she said softly. "It is earned. And I intend to earn it every day I walk this land with honesty." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a gentle breeze swept across the farm. The wind seemed to carry a quiet murmur, almost like a sigh of relief, a soft whisper that faded into the twilight. Freedom, at last. Mama Toyo smiled faintly, knowing she had survived the reckoning, and Sade understood that true strength did not come from shortcuts or magic, but from courage, humility, and the willingness to face the consequences of one's actions. Even as the farm slowly returned to normal, Mama Toyo could not forget the nights of whispers and hollow eyes. The memory of the ghosts lingered in every shadow, in the rustle of leaves, and in the soft sigh of the wind over the fields. She knew that the spirits had forgiven her, or at least released her, but she also knew that the lesson would never leave her. Sade noticed her mother's quiet glances toward the forest at dusk. "Mother, are you afraid?" she asked one evening. Mama Toyo shook her head slowly. "No, child. Fear is no longer my master. But the past, the choices we make, they leave marks deeper than any cutlass or scar. Even when the spirits are gone, their presence remains. It is in the work we do, in the care we show to the land, and in the respect we give life." That night, as the moonlight fell on the fields, the old man with white eyes appeared again at the edge of the farm, but this time only for a moment. He did not speak. He simply observed, his gaze sweeping over Mama Toyo and Sade, and then he vanished like mist. The village whispered once more, but now with awe rather than envy. "She survived the spirits," one villager said. "And she became stronger, wiser, and more human because of it." Mama Toyo walked through her fields slowly, her hands calloused and real, feeling the soil beneath her fingers. Each seed she planted, each crop she tended, was a reminder that true mastery came not from shortcuts or invisible slaves, but from patience, humility, and courage. And for the first time in years, she felt at peace, knowing that the ghost's freedom had also granted her own. The first light of morning spilled over Mama Toyo's farm like a blessing. The golden rays touched every leaf, every stalk of maize, every yawn of the giant yams, and for the first time, the land felt alive in a way it never had before, not from magic, not from invisible labor, but from the hands and hearts of those who tended it. Mama Toyo and Sade worked side by side, their laughter mingling with the songs of the birds and the gentle hum of the wind. Villagers came from far and near, bringing baskets of seeds and offering help without envy or expectation. They had watched the reckoning, had seen the ghosts released, and had learned that power taken through shortcuts always carries a price. Mama Toyo taught them everything she knew, how to respect the land, how to honor those who work it, and how to approach the unseen world with humility. Thank you for watching Frankie Stories. Please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, we love you.